Hello, and welcome back to the Am I Successful Yet podcast. So I just recorded the last episode and it was a bit of a rant. So this episode is not going to be ranty. This episode actually came this morning when I was on a morning walk. And I was thinking about how in previous episodes, how I've been talking about my pivots and I've been talking about, I guess, the steps that I've taken to create this podcast, to create the current version of me, and how my experiences and how the things that have, the events, I guess, of my life have all been leading to this point. And I always say that I was going to become a lawyer from when I was 12. And then I remembered this other thing that happened when I was 14. And I think that this was a bit of a catalyst for me wanting to be a speaker and me wanting to motivate other humans. So I am a millennial baby, and like most millennial babies' parents, at some point my parents were in Amway. And think what you think about Amway, it is what it is. They're no longer in it. But I don't even know if Amway's still a thing. But anyway, Amway had this beautiful way though. Essentially, they had motivational tapes, motivational books, motivational speakers at all their conferences. And when I was 14, I went to an Amway conference. Now, the reason why I went is because my dad couldn't go, and mum and I think we ended up driving down to Sydney or Melbourne or something like this. I don't remember where it was, but I do remember we stayed in one of those like little F1 motel things because we literally booked it 5 seconds before we had to be there. And so I went along to this conference, and I obviously had no, the comprehension of a 14-year-old at that point, and trying to understand, obviously they talk a lot about sales and success, and they work a lot on motivating people to kind of build their businesses, right? And so this was my first interaction, my first experience with A, building businesses and what that kind of looks like, and B, also with motivational speakers. So I think prior to this, I'd probably done a little bit of public speaking at school, but I just remember this one woman walking onto the stage, and she's 5 foot nothing, and she was a diamond in Amway. And if anyone knows what a diamond in Amway is, essentially is that you're earning squillions of dollars, right? And this squillionaire gets onto the stage, and her presence and her ability to hold the room and to motivate the room and create this atmosphere, even just within me, that I could do anything, was like such an amazing experience. And I think that experience for me, and then since then, there's a bunch of people, that I think that I have, watched on their journeys or I've listened to, and I've been like, oh my God, I feel so empowered. I feel so happy. I feel like I could fucking take on the world because I heard this person speak. And that for me is the impact of being a speaker. And that for me is the impact of why I want to show up. In the guest episode that I did last week with Kath from L'Organized, Kath asked me, what do I want to get out of this whole thing, right? What do I want to get out of doing this podcast? What do I want to get out of being a coach speaker? And I think I want to get, I know I want to create impact. I know I don't want burnt out, but still brilliant professionals to think that this is it. And I want them to know that they don't have to hit rock bottom to be able to then change the narrative, for want of a better word, in their work and how they're doing things and how they're showing up. I want people to know that you can come back from divorce and end up in a beautiful relationship living, this dream life that you maybe couldn't have even envisioned before. I want people to know that you could just give things a crack, and if it doesn't fucking work out, then whatever. It didn't work out. I want people to know that you can switch, you can change, you can design, you can create that life that you want purely based on the way in which, you show up in the world. But if you don't have the tools, you don't have the strategies, you don't have the excitement or the motivation, that someone doesn't put that rocket under your ass, it's very difficult to start to shape that future. You can almost not see something bigger. It's like not being able to see the wood for the trees or not being able to see the forest for the trees, because you're so focused on the micro details of the things that are happening right now, is that the bigger picture is something that you cannot envision. And so I just thought about that this morning on my morning walk, was that, like, holy shit, this woman getting onto stage and me listening to her, I genuinely felt empowered. And mind you, I've been in the audience of, bunches of conferences across different industries and listening to, multiple different speakers. There's definitely some people that I didn't feel as empowered or motivated or excited when I walked out of the room. But by next, I guess one of the most recent amazing ones that I loved as an influence on the work that I do, and I'm actually part of one of her programs, is Erica Kramer, the Queen of Confidence. And so I remember seeing her speak, and she's an absolute like firecracker, right? She presents with confidence. She presents in pink sparkles, which is probably why I think she's my spirit animal. And that's something for me is that something that really resonates. Clarissa Raywood, the happy family lawyer, if anyone doesn't know who she is, started a podcast many, many moons ago around, I guess, creating happiness in the law. And for me, every time she speaks, I'm hanging on every word. She's now a dear friend, but I think that people trying to change perspective, people challenging you to change perspective toward positivity and confidence and joy and happiness for me is something that really resonates. And I think that this literally started as a result of me attending a random Amway conference in when I was 14, which was 26 years ago. So I think I think also speaking, coaching, leadership, all of these things are a little bit in my DNA. That's just how I roll. My mum's always been this great, very outspoken sort of human and, always taught us to kind of stand up for ourselves and stand up for what we believe in. And I will do an interview with my mum at some point. But I do remember one of my mum's greatest life lessons for me is I was in my first lowland job and my boss was being a real a-hole. And this guy would scream so loud that the windows would shake in an office. I remember the female solicitor that was there trying to leave and he was like, "I made you, how dare you leave, rah, rah, rah." And that's just indicative of his personality. Anyway, so I had words with this bloke at one point and my mum came to pick me up from work and I was very upset. Anyway, I'm pretty sure she had a little talking to him, so thanks, Mum. And she said to me on the way home, she's like, "Nobody deserves to be treated in a way that is not nice. Like kindness should always sort of prevail." And she said, "Look, realistically, Rachel," and I wish that I've always taken this advice on. But so she said to me, if the reality is like no one deserves to be spoken about that. Just because he's your boss, he doesn't get to belittle people. He doesn't get to talk down to you. He doesn't get to scream and yell. Because if everyone peed in a cup, it would be the same color. And for some reason that has stuck with me and I often use that in my coaching. And so thanks for that little life lesson, Mum. I love that. And unfortunately, I actually think that I have not lived by that in some situations and in some even like relationships, like past friendships, where I have pedestals people. So put them up on a pedestal and thought, well, I can't be, that person's got a great relationship with their family, or that person, is very successful because of this. That person, whatever it is, that person's really smart because of this thing. That person is a public speaker on a stage because she's a diamond earning lots and lots of money. And of course, people will listen to her. So I think that I had this, kind of innate requirement for myself that I had to be the authority. I had to have lived the shit to get to the point where I'm allowed to now be a speaker. Now I know, and this is a lesson for anyone listening or everyone listening, is that everyone's story is fucking important. You all have a story. Everyone sitting right now, listening to this podcast or exercising or walking or sitting in your car, whatever it is, thank you for having me, by the way, in this moment, is that everyone has their own story to tell. And perhaps if I took my mum's mindset of, if everyone peed in a cup and it'd be the same color, maybe if I took that mindset on when I was 14, I would be an international public speaker right now. I could be Tony Robbins, y'all, but I'm not. No, but really, the pedestal thing has got to go. So people that get on stages or people that get promotions or people that are in relationships that look amazing or all of those things, those people haven't accidentally fallen into those things. Those people have purposefully designed the way in which they show up in the world to get that thing that they want. And so it's like writing, this version or this story of yourself to be able to create this version of you that is the person that's on stage, that is the person that's in the amazing relationship, that is the person that's doing the thing, that is the diamond from Amway speaking to a 14-year-old in the audience, motivating her to be a public speaker 26 years later. Like, unbelievable. Just quietly, that would have been 26 years ago. That would have actually been the year 2000, everyone. So for people that were born after the year 2000, you can stop listening. But does everyone remember the year 2000? Do you remember when we all thought the computers were going to blow up and the robots were going to eat us and there were going to be flying cars and blah, blah, blah? Again, I think it was at an Amway party for the year 2000, the Y2K. Turns out nothing happened. The clock just ticked over. The calendar just kept on going. And here we are. Nothing's really bad. Nothing has really come of all that. I just wanted to acknowledge that. I have been wanting to do this since I was 14. And I don't think I realized it myself until literally this morning when I was on my walk. So I want to be the person that motivates and inspires. And so that is why. So that is why I'm doing this. I want you to be living the best version of yourself. I want you to be living, and maybe not the best version, maybe just the next version. I want you to be comfortable with showing up. I want you to be genuine. I want you to be happy. I want you to feel joy. I want you to be in relationships that are great. I want you to be in workplaces that are amazing. I want you to have boundaries to be able to be like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore, and be okay with it. I want you to use the qualifications or the skills that you have, or switch and get no qualifications and new skills. I just want people to feel amazing. I want people to feel great. I want people to feel happy. I want people to feel joy. I want people to feel the way I felt as a 14-year-old girl sitting in an audience listening to that diamond on stage. So that's the episode today. That is the episode. That is my learning for today. And take from this episode what you will. There was a lot in it, but everyone has an amazing story to tell. And whether or not, like whatever that story is, it's worth telling. So thank you for listening to my podcast, because this is very much my story and the story of some of the most amazing humans that are around me that are not your gurus, but they are gurus to me. So I thank you for being here. I thank you for listening. If somebody needs to hear this, if somebody needs to be reminded of why they started something or why they should start something new, please share this episode with them, and maybe comment down below if you can think of a time or the moment where you're like, oh wow, yeah, I'm gonna be that when I grow up. And maybe you haven't realized it until you've just listened to this episode, because it literally happened to me this morning. But comment down below, let me know. So again, thank you for being here, and I will see you on the next episode.